At 57, the tragedy of Ree Drummond is beyond heartbreaking. Most people think they know Ree Drummond. She's the smiling woman in a bright kitchen, the one who somehow makes feeding a crowd look effortless, the face behind one of the biggest food empires in America. But the more I looked into her story, the more I realized something that honestly surprised me. The recipes were never the real story. They were how she survived the parts of life that couldn't be fixed. Before the television cameras, before the best-selling cookbooks, before millions of people knew her as the pioneer woman, Ree Drummond was just a young woman convinced she would never end up living on a cattle ranch. If someone had told her back then that she'd spend her life waking before sunrise to cook breakfast for cowboys in rural Oklahoma, she probably would have laughed. Nothing about her early life pointed in that direction. She grew up in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, in a comfortable family. Her father was a respected surgeon, and her childhood looked nothing like the rugged country lifestyle people associate with her today. Ballet classes, nice clothes, shopping trips, and dreams that stretched far beyond Oklahoma filled her world. From the outside, everything seemed almost picture-perfect. But families rarely tell their whole story from the outside. One of the biggest influences in Ree's life wasn't fame or success. It was her older brother, Michael. Michael was born with developmental disabilities, and growing up, Ree watched how differently the world treated him. While other people noticed his limitations, she saw someone full of kindness and love. She became fiercely protective of him, often standing beside him when others didn't understand. Years later, she would say that Michael quietly taught her lessons no classroom ever could. Looking back now, I think that's where the woman people admire today really began. Not in a television studio, not in a kitchen, but as a little sister learning compassion long before she realized how valuable it would become. By the late 1980s, Ree wanted something completely different from small-town life. She enrolled at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. Everything changed. The quiet streets of Oklahoma gave way to crowded freeways, restaurants that stayed open late into the night, fashionable neighborhoods, and a fast-paced lifestyle that felt exciting and full of possibility. She imagined herself becoming a lawyer. She pictured business suits instead of blue jeans, office buildings instead of open fields. Chicago was even part of the plan after graduation. If you had asked Ree during those college years where she'd spend the rest of her life, living on one of the largest cattle ranches in America, probably wouldn't have made the list. Not even close. She loved city life. She loved the energy. She loved feeling anonymous among millions of people. It seemed like her future was already mapped out. Funny how life ignores our maps. In 1996, Ree returned to Oklahoma for what she believed would be a very short visit before heading off to law school. That stop changed everything. One evening, she walked into a local bar. There wasn't anything extraordinary about the place. Country music, people talking, nothing that looked life-changing. Then she noticed someone across the room. Lad Drummond, tall, quiet. A real-life cattle rancher whose calm confidence stood out immediately. Ree has joked many times that she couldn't stop staring at him. It wasn't flashy charm that caught her attention. It was the complete opposite. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He seemed comfortable exactly where he was. Sometimes the people who say the least leave the biggest impression. Their relationship didn't move overnight, but something had shifted. Little by little, the future Ree had spent years planning started disappearing. The law career, Chicago, the city lifestyle. One decision at a time, she walked away from all of it. Instead, she married a cowboy.